The biggest talking point in the aftermath of the British Grand Prix was the crash between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton around turn 9 that took the former out of the race. With Lewis going on to win the race, this has big implications on the championship. Lewis has closed the gap down to just 8 points from the 33-point deficit he had going into Silverstone. While the debate of whose fault it was will probably go on for a long time, Lewis has given his thoughts on what happened. I'm your host Dillon Shelley, and first up on Formula World, does Hamilton see the British Grand Prix win as hollow? Lewis began by explaining how the incidents from the sprint qualifying changed his approach for the race. Saturday, I went down the left-hand side and I really regretted not going for the gap that was down the right-hand side, and so I dummied him, moved to the left, and then I moved to the right for that gap. I was pretty far up alongside him, but then I could see he wasn't going to back out, and we went into the corner and then we collided. Of course, that's never the way I want to win a race, or just in general to race, but these things do happen. I just hope he's okay and look forward to many more races. He then spoke about whose fault it was. I would like to think that we should generally grow and learn from these experiences. There's rarely an incident that's 100% someone's fault. It's always a mixture because there are two people, or more obviously, so I think there's things that we can both learn. He then suggested that Max is an aggressive driver. I would say that Max is probably one of the most aggressive drivers here, just from my personal opinion. He does a great job, of course, but I think we have to really try to find the best balance we can on track with space and respect between one another so that we can continue racing and have good races without colliding. Red Bull team principal Christian Horner called the move desperate and amateurish. Hamilton responded to that next. I don't really have anything to say to Christian. It doesn't feel hollow. There are 2,000 people who work incredibly hard in my team. It's not just about me, naturally. Of course, I have already said that this is not the way, anything I want to happen in the race. I think it's important for all of us to take a step back. I'm sure emotions are running high there, and I know what it's like to lose points within a team and be in that position, so I don't feel any way about it. He signed off with some stern words. Game on, just keep attacking. There needs to be respect on the track, and if not, this will happen more often, I guess. Fast feed. Max Verstappen has stated that watching the post-race celebration while he's still in the hospital is disrespectful and unsportsmanlike behaviour. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc was pushing 200%, but obviously it wasn't good enough to keep that first position in the last laps. He also stated that the incident between Lewis and Max was very difficult to judge from the car. They are very low, so it's difficult to see. Everything went very quick. He, however, thinks it's a racing incident. It's quite difficult to put the blame on one or the other. Obviously, there was space on the inside. Maybe Lewis was not completely at the apex, but it's also true that Max was quite aggressive on the outside. So things happen. So what is the most important today is that Max is unharmed and is fine. Lewis's teammate Valtteri Bottas saw them fighting through lap 1, a bit like Saturday. He had a feeling something is going to happen, but they were fighting hard. That kind of thing, that happens. It's racing. It can happen. When you fight hard, when you don't give up. He's just happy that Max is fine because it was a big shunt. Also, he feels like Lewis fully deserved the win today. Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff feels that these things are nasty to look at, but there is a clear regulation, and that is something that is black and white on paper. That if the front axle is over the middle of the car on the outside, it's your corner. Now you can say, is that a corner that is equivalent to any other? Maybe not, but again, an incident involves two drivers. Red Bull team principal Christian Horner, on the other hand, has reviewed the footage many times. He still cannot help but feel that putting a wheel up the inside at Copse, one of the fastest corners in this World Championship, was ill-judged and a huge risk by Lewis to both drivers. He was not significantly alongside Max, as you can see from the point of contact. Lewis's front left to Max's rear right, the move was never on and resulted in a 51G impact for Max. Former F1 driver turned analyst Jolyon Palmer, meanwhile, feels that it's a tough one, a really tough one. He could have seen it as a racing incident, both racing each other so hard. Fellow analyst Karun Chandok added that he thinks Max expected Lewis to back out of it. That's the critical thing. Lewis expected Max to back out of it, and Max expected Lewis to back out of it. Max could have given Lewis more room, but Lewis equally could have gone more to the curb on the right-hand side. They could have both done more to avoid the incident, but he would put it down as a racing incident. Red Bull test driver Alex Albon feels that this has been brewing since race 1 of the championship, and part of him thinks that Max could have closed the door to stop Lewis from ever going into that position. Do you expect Lewis or Max to take a more cautious approach the next time they are involved in a close battle? Head over to my community page to vote in the poll and let me know what you think in the comments. And if you like this video, feel free to subscribe and check out my others for all the latest in the world of Formula 1.